Hi there and welcome back to part 3. This time we're going to set up the states so that we can decide on what to do based on different states. So I'm going to create an enumerator so that I can work out what state we are in and switch states. So I'm going to make this public so that we can see it in the editor, and we use this enum keyword and then the name of the enum. This is kind of like making a variable, only it can take only it can contain different information. So I've got this public enum AI state, and I've got a capital AI for this because this is like a type, just like this is a class. So I'm going to create the states that I want. So I'm going to say idle, I'm going to say moving, and I'm going to say attacking, and these can be the base ones, and there could be lots more in here. They could be patrolling, or they could be retreating, and you would be able to switch states so that you can fix and sort each one of those different states out. So I've got this AI state, but this is like just the placeholder. I need to actually create a state for this specific enemy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make its state public as well. I'm going to say public, and I'm going to use the type AI state that we've just made, and we're going to call it AI state with a lowercase AI so that we can set it up. Oh, and I probably should make it as a default. So you'll notice it comes up as a type, so AI state, and if you hit the dot, you get one of the 3 states that you set up. So I'm just going to by default set it to idle, so it's not moving. This is an awesome way of I mean, we could use just an integer value. It could be 0, 1 and 2, but this is a lot more readable, and it has some extra benefits later on as well, as you'll see. So this nav.setDestination, we don't really want to do this. We want to do this only when we're actually in like the moving state, and we can switch states based on certain things, and we're going to just code that in now. So we're going to start by just creating the switch statement. Now, if you've done any C#, if you type in something like if and you double tap tab in Visual Studio, you get the complete code for what the if statement looks like, and it puts this up with the cursor ready to type something in. The switch statement is awesome because if you haven't seen one before, it allows you to jump between different things. It's like multiple ifs and else ifs. But if you type in switch and double tap tab, it puts up the entire thing, and if I just say AI state, which is my AI state, and press enter, it'll create all of my states for me. So this is what it looks like, and you can look this up on the internet if you really have to. You'll see what the you'll see that it's all done with just like this. There's a colon, which is weird, it never happens in almost anything else, and there's a break statement. There's also a default case plus all of the other cases. So we're able to write code after the colon for any of the particular states. So we're currently in, or we should be in, the idle state. So what we need to do is we need to say what we need to do, what we do in idle, and we are able to switch states. Now this is just code comments that I'm going to put in here. When we're moving, we probably should, the moving state, what we do, and we should be able to switch states out of moving into any of the others as well. So I think the best thing to do would be, if we're in the idle state, we need to try and probably do the simplest thing, which is move into the moving, or set the destination once we've got a certain condition. So we're going to write the code inside of the statement here, and then we'll tidy it up later. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the distance between the player and the target, the enemy. So I'm going to create a local variable, just say float distance, and I'm going to make it equal to, this is a cool little shortcut here. So vector3.distance allows us to take 2 vector 3's, and it returns the floating point distance between those 2 vector 3's. So we know that we have the player, so we'll say the player dot position, and we want the position of this object, so we can get the transform.position of this object. So this will return the floating point distance between the player and this enemy. And then we'll just do an if statement, so we'll say if and double tap tab. So if the distance is less than some arbitrary value that we should probably make public later on, so we'll say if it's less than 10, then we're going to switch the state to something else like moving. So we'll say AI state equals AI state moving. What we're also going to do here is we're going to set the target. And we'll do that just with the line that we had before, nav.setDestination, and we'll say player.position, just like we did before. So we have the this state of idle. And this is running inside the update, so it's going to run every single frame while we're in the idle state. If we're closer enough to the player, then the enemy will set the destination to the player and jump to the AI state. So the very next frame, it's going to be running through this state, AI state.moving, and we'll need to think hard about what we want to do with that, because what if the player moves? Do we need to keep tracking the player position? And we definitely need to keep tracking the distance for that. So it might be worth wondering whether we should do this outside of the switch statement so that it's available within all of them. So we'll start with this, and then we'll refactor and have a little think about whether this is going to be the right solution or not. So we've got the enemy over here, we've got the player over here. You'll see if I click on the enemy right now, you'll see that the AI state is idle, and we should see this change to moving when this player gets within 10 units of it. So if we hit play, I'll need to jump back into scene view. Oops, the code's gone a wee bit wrong in here because we've left this in, so we don't want that in there. Just recompile and run again. So if we jump into scene view, you'll see that it's idle, it's not doing anything. And if I click on the player and I move him within a certain distance, so this is running every frame, so as soon as he gets close enough, it jumps to moving towards him. Now you'll notice that we've moved away again, and it hasn't done anything. So the enemy is still in the moving state, but because we only set the destination inside of the once inside of that switch state for idle, then it only knows that this is the destination. So we could improve upon this by, while we're moving, continually setting this destination. So if we just copy paste this into there, then it will continually do this. So it will always be setting, while it's in the moving state, it's always setting its position, its destination to the player. The bit that we had here, where we have this distance calculation, I think we need this more than once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put it above the, so inside the switch, but outside of all of the cases. That way that it's the first thing that's calculated. Sorry, let's put it not there. The switch has to have the cases first, so we'll put it above the switch. So we'll calculate the distance every frame so that we're able to use it at any time that we need it. So inside the AI state idle, we can still use this. It's still in scope, this variable, because it's out. This is a child of it rather than outside of it, so we can still use it here. When we're moving, however, what we should do is we should still switch state. We should check this distance again, and we should still switch state. So what do we want to do inside of moving? Well, we want to set the destination to the player, but then we also want to say if the distance becomes greater than 10, what we should probably do is set the destination to where we are right now, in other words, stop moving, and we should set our state back to idle again. So we'll say AI state equals AI state idle. So this is one small jump back to having this multiple state situation going on. So we've got this the idle when we're less than 10, we set our state to moving, and we set the player target. Then inside of the AI state moving, I know it seems like we're doubling up, we might actually be able to get away without having this one in. When we're into the AI state moving, we're going to set the destination to the player every single time we're in this state, and then we're going to make sure that the distance is not greater than 10. If it is greater than 10, we set back to the idle state and we stop targeting the player. So we go back to this one in the next frame, and all it's doing is checking the distance. So we'll test this out, just see that it works. The code is compiled, so I can start running, jump back to scene view so I can see what's going on. So he's definitely he's definitely in an idle state. If I move this close enough, he should go to tracking, and then if I move it away, he stops tracking. So again, he's just stopping because he's setting his position to where he is right now, and then he's stopping when he's outside of the distance. So it's working pretty good. We're gonna write the probably write the raycast next in the next part of this video. What we have a situation here is that if you're behind a wall, or if he's not facing you, really shouldn't see him. In the last video tutorial series, when we did this, it didn't matter, it was all distance based, just like this, but I think it's probably worth doing some kind of raycast to check the visibility of the player from the enemy. Otherwise you'll get a situation where he's going to come towards you even though he's behind a wall. Alright, I'll get onto that into the next series, and I hope you're enjoying the series so far.